Hey, slap me some skin. Welcome to So Big Movies and welcome back to the Blaxploitation Hour. And what a way to come back on this holy day of cannabis. And what better way to celebrate than to take a look at love. Ah, black love. When everyone turns into a vampire. Wait, I've already done Blackula.
The only perversions that can be comfortably condemned are the perversions of others. I will persist and survive without God's or society's sanction.
Ganja and Hess released fucking today, 51 years ago in 1973, was the brainchild of writer-director Bill Gunn, who was also a playwright of over 29 plays and a novelist and an actor. He would study acting in New York's East Village with Mira Rostova, noted method acting coach. In 1954, he played alongside James Dean in the Broadway production of The Immortalist and would join a circle of artists that would include Montgomery Clift, Eartha Kitt, and Marlon Brando. Gunn's directorial debut should have been a Warner Brothers melodrama titled Stop in 1970, with the promotion being this would have been the second studio film directed by an African American, but it was shelved by the studio before release. Enter Kelly Jordan Enterprises, an independent studio co-founded by Jack Jordan, a black American producer who considered Gunn the black Stanley Kubrick, and Quentin Kelly, an Irish American producer. The two had worked with Maya Angelou on the 1972 film Georgia, Georgia, for which she wrote the screenplay. In the wake of the success of Blackula, the studio approached Gunn with the idea of making a black vampire film with a budget of $350,000. Even though Gunn relented at first, he accepted the job and he was given a high level of creative freedom and decided to use vampirism as a metaphor for addiction. And the cinematic gloves pretty much came off. After completing the film, it was re-edited without Gunn's involvement from 113 to 78 minutes. The Museum of Modern Art, with support from the Film Foundation, were able to find old 35mm prints which were combined and mastered to create a full version of the film that is Gunn's complete vision, and that is the version that we are going to be talking about today. But first, let's talk about Amnesia Haze. So what I'm going to smoke out today on is the Amnesia Haze from Oha, and this is a sativa dominant hybrid. It's a descendant of Jamaican sativa, Laotian sativa, and Afghan Hawaiian indica strain. It's supposed to have like a fruity hash taste, and there's hints of like spice and pepper in there. So that's what I'm going to be enjoying in a little bit, and I'm going to open the package so you guys can see. We have this packaging here. You just flip open. You can already see I've already smoked a few. But these are 0.35 gram joints. There's 10 in here, so it would be 3.5 grams worth. The THC is a little on the lower end. I want to say it's about 21 or 22% or so. But yeah, it should have a good amount of terps in there as well. So yeah, I'm going to go and I'm just going to enjoy. So yeah, it is an absolutely gorgeous day outside. It's a little windy. Makes it a little chilly, but really for the most part though, it is beautiful, beautiful out here. So this is going to be a nice little walk for me. I'm ready to go. Ooh, yeah, that's tasty. Got that a little bit of, it's like a fruitiness to it. There's like a spiciness to it too. It's really nice. Oh yeah, this is gonna be fun. Watching this movie. Man, it's been a while. It's been a minute. So yeah, I was able to smoke this down pretty well. Smokes pretty easily, pretty evenly. Good white ash. I'm done. I'm already kind of feeling it. This feels more of a head high. I'm feeling it a lot up here. When I'm walking, it kind of feels like I'm compressed a little bit. I feel closer to the ground than I probably normally would if I was sober. But yeah, I'm feeling it. Pretty good, pretty good. So the movie that's being spotlighted here, Ganja and Hess, I've seen once before. Would have been in my early 20s, or has to have been at least 20 years ago. But I was so baked when I watched it that I don't really remember a whole lot about the plot. I remember images. I remember shots. Marlene Clark in front of that cross. Bill Gunn taking that dirty bath and shooting himself in the heart. Yeah, like images I remember. And I remember walking out of that movie and being like, there was something special, but man, I was just so baked. I feel like I'm in a better place. It's been a lot years later. My tolerance is a lot better. But at the same time, it feels like I'm going to be walking into this movie with some fresh eyes, which is really exciting in that respect. Okay, I'm back. I am ridiculously stoned, so let's just do this. Let's talk about Ganja and Hess. When the film opens, we are given some simple text to let us know that Dr. Hess Green, while doing research on an ancient African nation of blood drinkers, the Merithians, he was stabbed 3 times, each for one part of the Holy Trinity. And already my weed is hitting me hard as these statues scare the shit out of me, and they look like the final moments right before shit went real in X-Men 97 episode 5.
Tell you that one day when I was alone.
Sam Wayman, who we will see later on in the film, composed the film's music and sang the opening haunting theme, Blood of the Thing, which, if you listen to the lyrics, tells you everything you need to know about this movie. Oh yeah, he's also Nina Simone's brother. Talk about a legacy. While Brother Man is having the kind of spiritual seizure I only thought was reserved for Pentecostals, I think this kid is being set up for some ritual. Oh, wait, we are in an actual church. The way this movie started, I was expecting William Marshall's ghost to leap out of the TV, mistaking me for Pam Grier, and give me the reddest hickey north of the 49th parallel. We are introduced to Sam Wayman proper as Reverend Luther Williams. And if that isn't one of the most black sounding names in history, we just needed a Johnson or a Jackson in the middle name, and we would have checked all the boxes. Reverend Williams' voiceover explains that he's a chauffeur for Dr. Hess Green, and wait, was this car manufactured on opposite day? Was this car made in England? I've just always wondered. It is at this point that we do meet Dr. Hess Green, already looking like he's had enough of this shit, and he is played by the incomparable Duane Jones. And if you don't know who Duane Jones is, shame on you. He is not only one of the most important African American figures in horror, but one of the most important African American figures in all of cinema, as he played Ben in the original Night of the Living Dead. Duane Jones was really a jack of all trades and a master of many. Before Jones even got into acting, he was already studying in Paris and completed a Master's of Communications at New York University between shooting Night of the Living Dead. Before dedicating his time to be an actor, Jones was a Phelps-Stokes exchange scholar in Niger and taught literature at Long Island University. He created English language training programs for the Peace Corps and helped design Harlem Prep School, where he headed the English department. Ganja and Hess was Jones's immediate follow-up to Night of the Living Dead, and it was clear that he was not content only making a certain grade of film. He would appear in only 6 more films after this, including B Street and Vampires, not to be confused with John Carpenter's Vampires. But that film's cinematographer was Ernest Dickerson, famed cinematographer for Spike Lee, and a great filmmaker in his own right. But we get right into the chapters of this film with part 1 titled Victim. And taking the idea of addiction and referring to addicts as victims in the 1970s, when all the negative images of African Americans as addicts were presented as ravenous criminals, sometimes even seen as subhuman, was astounding. We are just now starting to remove some of the barriers when it comes to addiction, especially in the Black community, and we are getting into a more honest dialogue about things like mental health and trauma in the African American community. So this film touching on these subjects was decades ahead of its time. Also ahead of its time, Duane Jones rolling up in a Rolls Royce before Eddie Murphy did. It is here we are introduced to George Maida, played by Bill Gunn himself, and yes, the very first image of him is smoking a little bit of that Hess. Happy 420! It is also with these two back-to-back haunting images of the distorted reflection from the Rolls Royce and that smoke-filled reflection of George pointing a pistol at himself that we realize, yes, this is definitely a movie for stoners. But Bill Gunn wasn't playing around when it came to creating a truly original film, and he would break every cinematic rule. A true cinematic anarchist. Take my money. All of it. Dr. Green is shown around various images and paintings, and you want to talk about weird, dreamlike sequences. Bill Gunn smoking a joint is just a crazy image juxtaposed against this painting. But once George is introduced, the film starts proper with Sam Wayming going to town. While going to town. He knows the way, Mon.
Upon them a curse that they should live forever.
Huh. The stoner and me are seeing all the layers in this movie. 5D chess. The cinematographer for this film was James E. Hinton. Known primarily as a documentarian of the civil rights movement, he worked on more than 70 documentaries as a cinematographer and director. After Ganja and Hess, through his production company, he would direct a number of commercial, industrial, and educational films, a set of films for the National Endowment for the Arts, a set of films for the U.S. Department of Labor, and a set of television documentaries. Editing duties went to Victor Kanevsky, known for Art Bastard, The GI Encounter, and There's Nothing Out There. So Dr. Hess and George arrive at the...
I hate George. It's Maida then.
Well, fuck. I'm not going back to re-edit all the times that I already did call him George. So suck it, editors. Why am I cussing myself out?
Luther, what's wrong with Thunder? He seems to be discoloring. Is it the heat?
This movie was just saying things that other Black movies were not saying. 6D chess! Dr. Green is admiring the bone dagger that would eventually seal his fate, and this is interspliced with a dream sequence of Africans. I'm not sure if they are supposed to be Mithraeans themselves, but we also get Eyes Wide Shut for Black people and... This movie is already fucking with my stoner brain. Maida would show almost immediately why he is the most insensitive guest in history.
Not drunk enough to jump out of that tree.
Look, will you do me a favor? Don't try to impress me, all right?
All right.
Okay.
Is there anything I can do?
Yes, this is something you can do. Don't bullshit me.
Dude, I don't know if you haven't noticed, but when your boss was introduced, he was already tired of the bullshit. Maida explains how he once attempted suicide, and the film's lighting and the sound design is already haunting. Soon we get Maida attacking Dr. Green, and the fight plays out like Black Borat. Gunn then reads one of the most bonkers suicide notes in movie history.
To the black male children. Philosophy is a prison. It disregards the uncustomary things about you. The navigator learns from the stars. The stars teach nothing. The sun opens the mind and sheds light on the flowers. The eyes shame the pages of any book. You are the despised of the earth. That is as if you were water in the desert. To be adored on this planet is to be a symbol of success, and you must not succeed on any terms. For love is all there is, and you are cannon fodder in its defense.
Afterwards, he takes the most disgusting bath ever to shoot himself in the heart. I'm not sure if that was meant to be Maida self-baptizing himself, preparing for suicide, but that whole sequence has always stuck with me. Dr. Green arrives too late because his house is the size of a fucking Walmart and immediately turns into a paint sniffer. Dr. Hess tries to pray the bloodsucker out of the way, but it is the most uninspired prayer ever.
The grave and gate of death, we may pass to our joyful resurrection.
That's more like it! We are now into part 2 titled Survival, and apparently turning into a vampire has also inspired some high school hijinks or domestic terrorism, all for some blood. We are introduced to Dr. Green's son, who would destroy me in French comprehension, and it is clear by this point that Bill Gunn isn't interested in displaying stereotypes. The black experience does not want for money, does not need to pimp, and there is no shame in that level of sophisticated blackness. Except when we do meet a pimp and his prostitute who approaches Dr. Green with a story, but it's like no one has noticed that Duane Jones just does not care about your life right now. I love the reaction from Duane Jones once the hooker took off her wig. It was like, bitch, what just happened to your head? We follow up with a gotcha bitch moment, as the whole thing was a ruse for a robbery, but Dr. Green isn't deterred and is able to dispatch of them easily. Yeah, I can see why Gunn would be considered as the Black Stanley Kubrick. Part 3 is titled Letting Go, and it is at this part we are introduced to Ganja Maida, played by Marlene Clark. Clark dabbled in acting, animation, and fashion, and appeared in films such as Hal Ashby's The Landlord, which Bill Gunn would write, and they would work on Stop and Ganja and Hess together. Clark would have other major titles to her name, appearing in such films as Slaughter, Enter the Dragon, Beware the Blob, and The Beast Must Die. And to say Marlene Clark is a firecracker in this film is an understatement. Clark is just a classic beauty, and she gave the film a great glow up. This film has a lot to say about black sophistication. Dr. Green is not a victim of the experience that befalls most of Black America, and Bill Gunn himself has been quoted that white people may understand an educated black person, but a sophisticated one? That seemed to cause a bit of a syntax error back in the day for white America. Ganja gets into a whole story about one of her friends smuggling weed across the border via the Christopher Walken Pulp Fiction special, and Dr. Green looks like he's had enough of this life. Ganja thinks otherwise though, and while I really question her behavior since her husband has gone missing, I have to admit, she is one of the more polite lovers. That ass was so good, it gave Dr. Green an appetite for the newest V8 flavor, Caesar's Blood. Eventually, Ganja catches up with Dr. Green, and we get another one of the more striking moments in the film, as it looks like Ganja and Hess are just making love in the emptiness and darkness of space. And let me say, Hess, you a sweaty mess. Man, if I could only have my own butler to follow me around and light joints for me all the time when I needed it.
What do you want now?
This instant. Or now.
Now.
Money. Is there anything else?
If I could get a beauty to stare at me the way Marlene Clark stared at Duane Jones, I would feel the warmth of the sunshine. I also love Ganja basically berating poor Leonard Jackson, who plays Archie the butler.
Grits. Harmony grits. You know what harmony grits are, don't you?
You understand a record player? And you understand extension cord. So we got three things going. We got some grape jelly, some harmony grits, and an extension cord. Don't we?
That was rather humorous, madam.
That's the face of a woman who has no time for the help being condescending. Do you want to be hanged? I'm sure that noose is still up. Reverend Jackson makes an appearance to gift Dr. Green a new car. One that I think he's way too small for.
Cook whatever you do best.
Give me a suggestion.
Doesn't matter as long as it doesn't have a whole lot of grease in it. You know what I mean?
Sounds like my dad.
Did I hear you say you didn't believe in marriage?
No, I never said any such thing.
Well, that's one way to propose, I think. Poor Archie is getting mistreated like, well, he's a black servant. And this complicates things in so many ways. In 1973, here we have a movie with different black people in different social and economic classes without the film needing to explicitly explain away how Bill Gunn was going to offer this kaleidoscope of blackness. Also complicating things is Ganja finding her dead husband in the freezer. Meanwhile, Dr. Green just finished murdering someone and made her baby an orphan. I suppose that's okay that it didn't happen to a black baby?
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, thank you again.
No, movie. Don't do this to me. Not now. I am flying through space. Ganja and her Stanley Kubrick 1,000-mile stare eventually confronts Dr. Green about her husband.
I know you killed my husband.
I beg your pardon.
Because you have his body in the freezer in the basement.
Ganja then tells a story about her mother getting angry with her because she was in a snowball fight, and it is a great fucking scene. As it is the moment we realize Ganja ain't some 18% THC dry flower, no. She is a 45% sticky icky with lots of terps.
Because that day I decided that I would provide for Ganja, always.
And I'll always take care of you too. But from here on out, Ganja and Hess are an official couple, complete with the two getting married. And there's nothing like a post-wedding body drop for the honeymoon to add a level of sexiness.
You still think I'm psychotic?
Of course.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that you think I'm psychotic doesn't frighten you.
Oh, man. Everybody's some kind of freak.
Shit. Tell me when I'm telling lies. Ganja and Hess somehow transitioned from this vampire story into a legit love story, and when Dr. Green says he wants Hess to live forever, bet that's the real deal. Jesus Christ, dude, all you needed to do was bite her on the neck, not make a fucking crime scene from Seven. Would that be lust or gluttony? Ganja is having a hard time adjusting, and I would too if that damn score was in my head. And also, she has a reflection. This is not a traditional vampire tale. Ew, don't eat the grass, water my dog shit over there.
Drink this in remembrance that Christ's blood was shed for thee. And be thankful.
and Hess are now a couple living in no shame and no guilt, and now that she's been stabbed, wait, hold on, where did that elevator come from? And where the fuck does it go? Also, that's one hell of a leisure suit there, Dr. Green. Ganja and Hess have an acquaintance for dinner. Somehow Ganja's stare looks more menacing now that we know she has to kill to survive. It looks like Bill Gunn also has a Tarantino-level foot fetish. Honestly, I would always question being asked to satisfy another's spouse and they're not in the room to watch. I'm watching my back because the whole thing seems sus. But pay me $2,000 an hour and I will look the other way. Ganja, unfortunately, cannot, and we get blood everywhere. Clearly, she's learned from her new husband. Cleanup? We don't need cleanup. Let Archie handle it. We also get a real sense of where everyone is morally as Ganja relents to Dr. Green, leaving the barely alive body to rot.
It's a guide to our destruction. Solution. Helga, fourth queen of Merthia. If you worship any god whatsoever, and if you believe this god to be good, and if this God in which you trust be destroyed by forces dangerous to the survival of love, and if the implement by which this God was destroyed...
No, this isn't foreshadowing at all. We are taken to church. Literally. I think this scene goes for the entire service. Dr. Green enters the church, and it is crazy how much we identify vampirism with Christianity. I know there are other vampire films created through other countries and cultures, but wow, does the genre really feel bound by that one plot element? It also shows how much of the Black experience and identity is also intertwined with God and Jesus. And just like that, Dr. Green exits, runs in slow-mo for a really long time, and time is just elongated when you're already stoned. And it just felt like Dr. Green was running to me. You want to talk about a haunting shot?
Come with me.
Oh.
Please, please come with me.
I think the dude that did the chicken hoedown on Werner Herzog Strozek came in for some voice work as Dr. Green commits suicide by leaping in the shadow of the cross. How Ganja looks at that cross also mirrors my own sense of bewilderment. And I love the fact that she stands in front of that cross-like image for the ambulance. 10D chess! Finally, we get our one victim back from the dead, including full frontal, and we hold on Ganja's face and end scene to children singing in church. Ganja and Hess was a film that defied conventional storytelling techniques, utilizing dreamlike sequences, elliptical editing, and experimental camera work to immerse the audience in the characters' experiences. The film was the only U.S. entry in the Cannes Film Festival the year Ganja and Hess was released and received a great reception, selected for Critics Week. But the film was pretty much a disaster when it opened in the U.S., and the film was recut and retitled in several different ways, all of which forced Bill Gunn to remove his name from the credits until the full uncut version of Ganja and Hess was re-released in 2018. While critics pretty much derided the film as they didn't know what to make of it, Ganja and Hess has been reappraised over the years and has been reevaluated as the important and ahead of its time work that it is. Ganja and Hess was remade by Spike Lee as The Blood of Jesus, but I love Spike Lee, but honestly, that wasn't a good movie. 51 years later, Ganja and Hess still has the power to shock and be provocative, be completely anti-Black stereotype, while somehow embracing the good, the bad, and the ugly of Blackness, and just be a weird mind fuck. Yeah, this was by far the right movie for me to watch, and now that I've all mellowed out, I am ready for a date with the devil late at night, and that also sounds a little vampiric, but if we're all going to become blood-sucking demons, go all the way. What did you think of Ganja and Hess? Share your thoughts, leave your comments, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you can get notifications as well. Thanks a lot, everyone. Take care.